You are listening to Eat Meat Sparingly, a Word of Wisdom podcast. I am your host, Ali Essig. There's a part in the Word of Wisdom that can be kind of confusing, and maybe it might seem a little outdated. Now, that part is in D&C, Doctrine Covenants 89, and it's verse 10 and 11. Okay, so 10 says, "And again, verily I say unto you, all wholesome herbs God hath ordained for the constitution, nature, and use of man. Every herb in the season thereof, and every fruit in the season thereof. All these to be used with prudence and thanksgiving." The reason why it may seem a little outdated for us is because we live in a world where we can go to the grocery store in January and be able to buy avocados and strawberries and things that are not necessarily in our season. So do we still need to follow this principle? And what are the benefits of eating in the season thereof? And do we need to? Well, it wasn't until I started doing my research on different herbs and plants, and I realized too, in verse 10, where he talks about herbs, it references Genesis 1:29. And in that verse, it says, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat." Now, there's a lot of symbolism here. To you it shall be for meat, which could bring up a lot of basically confirmation that you can eat a whole food plant-based diet and you don't necessarily need to be eating meat in order to get the benefits from it. But I want to talk about what herbs are referred to in this scripture. And herbs are basically referred to as plants, as fruits, as vegetables, anything that has seed. There's just bearing seed, right, upon the face of all the earth, every tree, and these fruits, these tree yielding seeds. So in that sense, I want to clarify that it's not just herbs, it's also any type of plant that you're consuming. So that was the first part. But the second part is if you were to truly eat in the season thereof. So if I were to decide, you know what, I'm only going to be eating fruits and vegetables that are in the season, what would happen to my gut microbiome if I did that? I would be eating a variety of plants. I would be eating maybe more potatoes later in the fall. I'd be eating more fruit earlier in the spring. I would be eating a variety of things that are beneficial in certain seasons. For example, there's compounds in tomatoes that can help protect your skin from getting sunburn. It's kind of incredible. There's so many benefits from eating in the season thereof, but we don't necessarily have to eat in the season thereof to follow this principle. And because I believe that underneath this principle is the benefits of eating a variety of plants, of not just eating the same thing day in and day out. We easily go to the basics, like eating carrots, eating celery, eating whatever we like cucumbers. I have a daughter that's literally like the only fruit and vegetable that she loves right now is actually cucumbers. But if we are eating a variety, if we really take heart to this concept of eating in the season thereof, or just eating a variety of plants, there's a lot of benefits that you can receive from that. And in order to understand the benefits, I need to talk a little bit about fiber. What is fiber? It is probably the least sexiest thing that we can consume, right? When we eat more fiber, we think of people who are older and have a hard time going poop. We think of gas and bloating, but fiber is key to our health. And there's a lot that our stool can actually tell us about our health and what's going on. First of all, we haven't really talked a lot about it in the past. We know that it's an interesting topic now, and that's basically because we have the technology now to understand a lot more about our gut microbiome than we did like 100 years ago or 50 years ago or even 20 years ago. It wasn't until 2016 that we even had the technology to understand the different gut microbes, what it is that they're doing. And when we eat fiber, it's so much more than just giving us bulk to our stool. When we eat fiber, it's not just so that we can have good poop or we can go more regularly, which is really important for a lot of reasons. But what we learned as we started to actually have the technology, just like if you were to look up in the stars with your naked eye, and we see stars with our naked eye, depending on where you live. Where I live, not a lot. We see like 5. But in general, if you were to look up at the sky with a telescope, you're going to see so many more stars. And as we have developed the technology to basically look in our gut microbiome with a type of telescope, we see that we actually have more bacteria cells than we have regular human cells, that we are more bacteria than we ever even realized. That it is key in a healthy gut microbiome, plays a key role in our longevity. More than anything, that's a huge takeaway. And so how do you feed your gut microbiome? What type of food do they like to consume? Basically, we found that the gut microbiome, all these little gut microbes love fiber. Fiber is their favorite food. But where do you get fiber from? Fiber is not just found in Fiber One bars or your Metamucil or fiber supplement. Fiber is actually found in plants, in those fruits, those vegetables, those nuts, those seeds, those whole grains and legumes. And I would like to argue that there's a reason why 95% of the population is not consuming enough fiber. We are a completely fiber deficient population. And that's because it goes beyond just eating the fruits and the vegetables. We actually could still be deficient in fiber if we're just eating 5 fruits and veggies a day. It's because we need to eat whole grains. We need to eat whole grains. That's where there's going to be a lot more fiber. We need to be eating legumes, right? Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the longer you live because they have fiber. They have so much fiber. And there was a huge meta-analysis done with almost 1 million individuals that were in this meta-analysis. And they found that by increasing your fiber content by at least 10 grams from where you are right now, it can decrease your risk of mortality by 10%. It's huge. That's how important eating more fiber is. And most of the time, that's decreasing your risk of dying early from diseases like heart disease and cancer are number 1 and number 2. Fiber plays a huge role, and fiber is only found in plants. And that's why we're not eating enough plants and we're not eating enough of a diversity of plants. The American Gut Project was the largest study ever conducted on the human gut microbiome that we know of today. And they found that individuals, it almost didn't matter what else they were eating. They could be eating a little bit of meat, a little bit of cheese, and other things, as long as they were consuming at least 30 different plants in a week. And those who consumed at least 30 different plants in a week, they had the healthiest gut microbiomes. They were consuming a variety of foods, which I think happens when you are consuming plants in the season thereof. You're mixing it up. You're eating a variety, not just the same old things all day long. You're feeding your gut microbes, and different gut microbes like different types of foods. They even like different colors of foods. You could be eating purple grapes or green grapes, and different microbes prefer one or the other. Your gut microbiome absolutely loves any type of fiber that you feed it. So even a fiber supplement is going to help improve your gut microbiome. But the variety of plants you get, you're going to increase not only the gut microbiome, but you'll have insoluble fiber and soluble fiber. So insoluble fiber is what helps keep you full. It's like when chia seeds are put in water and they expand. That helps keep you fuller longer. And that gel-like substance, like you see in oatmeal, that's also really important to lower your cholesterol levels, because that's going to pull out the excess LDL particles and pull them into your stool. Also, what's key is that when you have the insoluble fiber, it also acts like a scrub brush through your gut microbiome, going to clean out and pull out anything like excess hormones. That's why it reduces your risk of so many different cancers, especially hormonal cancers. And they found that those who are consuming sufficient fiber, that you're actually not only pooping bigger poops, you're going more often. And for someone who's not consuming enough fiber, your food stays inside of your gut, inside of your intestines about 24 hours longer than those who are consuming adequate fiber. You're not going, you may be regular, like you may be going to the bathroom every day, but that food sits in your colon a lot longer than it would if you were eating enough fiber. And why does that matter? Because when food sits in your colon longer, it increases your risk of colon cancer. We want the food to be moving fast, not like diarrhea fast, right? We want stools to be nice and solid and snake-like, but they should be able to leave easily. And when you're consuming more fiber, you're also pulling in more water into your intestines. And sometimes if you have super dry stools, that's a sign that you're not getting enough fiber, that the food has been hanging out a long time in your gut and you're just not eating enough fiber. We need the variety of these plants. But probably the most important reason, one of the best things that happens to you when you consume fiber, is that your gut microbiome produce what's called short chain fatty acids. These are side effects of eating enough fiber. This is what they almost give us in response which is a gift to us because these short chain fatty acids, there's 3 different kinds. There's acetate, butyrate, propionate. And a lot of people talk about the benefits of butyrate to not only help you stay full or longer, it actually helps you strengthen your gut lining. So butyrate strengthens your gut lining. And what's fascinating is when you're not eating enough fiber, if you're not feeding your gut microbiome, they need food somehow. And yeah, they can get a little bit from meat, but in general, they'll start to consume your own gut lining because if they don't get fiber, they've got to get it somewhere and they'll consume the mucus in your own gut lining, which leads to what people have called leaky gut in the past because it's eating on itself. If it's not getting food, it will use your own body to provide what it needs. But when you're consuming enough fiber, the side benefits of butyrate is that it strengthens your gut microbiome. It's going to help strengthen the lining of your gut. And short chain fatty acids also go throughout your entire body and reduce your risk of heart disease, reduce your risk of diabetes, reduce your risk of so many different types of cancers. It's almost like little fairies come through your whole system and just give you a little here, a little splash of fairy dust there. What else do you need? Let me help you here. That's what these short chain fatty acids do. They're like little fairies in your system that just bless your body in all of the ways. And that only comes when you're eating enough fiber. Now, yes, of course you can take fiber supplements. And if you do, a variety of different fibers is going to be better. But the best type of fiber to consume are plants, to eat a variety and switch it up in every season thereof. They're all made for us, to benefit us, to strengthen our gut, to reduce our risk of heart disease, to reduce our risk of diabetes. There's so many benefits that come from not just eating fruits and vegetables, but remember, it's any type of plants. It's these legumes, it's the whole grains, it's the nuts, it's the seeds. It's not just our fruits and veggies. We need to be consuming a variety of these things every single week. Another really good side benefit to think about is the gut-brain connection. I know that, I don't know about you, but when I am nervous about something, I tend to have to go to the bathroom. In fact, when I first became a Pilates instructor, I would get a little nervous before it was time for me to teach. I was new and I would be sitting there waiting for my class to start and the previous class would be going on almost every time, like clockwork. I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom really quick. My body, it's like preparing for that fight or flight and would flush itself out. And that's the reason why is because of the gut-brain connection. As I was getting nervous up top, my gut's like, okay, let's go. And it's interesting too that in the scriptures all the time, it's mentioned how you feel things in your bowels, right? We feel things in our gut. We have this gut feeling for a reason. We have that connection between our brain and our gut. A large part of this could be because 90% of the serotonin that we produce is produced in your gut. And so if you want to be happier, if you want to be healthier, we do need to take consuming enough fiber seriously. Now, there's been mixed studies on this. There isn't like this direct study that's shown, yes, if you eat fiber, you will be happier. But overall, when you're consuming a variety of fibers, you are improving your overall health and it can improve your mood, but it can improve these brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which the BDNFs, which improve your memory, which improve all of how your brain works. And that happens in your gut. That happens when your gut microbiome is in a healthy place. And so making sure that you are eating to support not only your muscle, right? Where we think, okay, I got to eat protein so that I can grow muscles. We also need to think about how we need to be eating enough fiber so that we can support our gut. We're eating enough protein in this society. And yes, some individuals can benefit from eating more protein. I get that. I'm not against it. I know that I'm trying to lift more in the gym and eating more protein can help me with my muscle protein synthesis. But in general, I want to make sure that I'm balancing protein and fiber because 95% of us are not consuming enough fiber. We are fiber deficient. Mostly it's because we have taken these foods that used to contain a lot of fiber, like wheat, and then we've refined them. We've taken the fiber out to make it taste better. We have white rice, we have white bread, and all of those things are lacking in fiber. And that's what a lot of us are consuming a lot of, whether it's processed foods or just not even thinking about it, that you love white rice and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's missing fiber and we need to add that fiber back in, whether it's in the form of a supplement or whether it's in the form of variety of plants and eating more of those plants. So I want to emphasize to you, before you worry about taking anything out, maybe before you're even ready to eat meat more sparingly, let's think of adding in more plants. And that is the downfall sometimes when we hyper focus on protein or we plan our meals around the meat, is that we just aren't getting enough of the plants. And what's cool is if we were to flip that, if instead we were to think, okay, what fruits and vegetables do I have in my fridge that are about to go bad? And then we plan our meal around the plants, one of the most important things for us to be consuming every day. And if we plan our meal around the plants, then we'll be eating enough variety. We can add it in sparingly, but we need that variety of plants. That is key. So eating more plants means fewer foods that can actually harm your gut. If you're prioritizing plants, then number one, when you consume fiber first, if that's the first thing that goes into your mouth, maybe all you can do right now is just add a salad before your dinner. If all you did was add a salad before your dinner, do you know what that would do for you? That would reduce your blood sugar spikes. Eating fiber first blunts blood sugar spikes, which can help your insulin sensitivity and improving that overall, which can help reduce your risk of not only type 2 diabetes, but also heart disease and cancer. Okay, that one simple thing of eating a salad first, eating fiber first. I like to think of it as I am a spiritual person and I have grown up knowing the importance of reading your scriptures every single day and praying to God every single day. And I know when I do that, when I read my scriptures and when I pray, my day just ends up so much better. I put first things first. And if we do the same thing with our diet, if we put first things first, if the first thing that goes into your mouth before every breakfast, lunch, and dinner are plants, then there's a huge cascade event from that. In fact, there's actually a term for it. It's called negative calorie preloading. And that happens when you're consuming a plant first thing, even if it's an apple or banana, that overall, if you're negative calorie preloading on a plant, that's usually about 100 calories or less. So it's amazing the effect that it can have on you because of the fiber to help you feel more full. You're putting first things first. You're minimizing that blood sugar spike. Even if it is a fruit at first, your body needs time to adjust, but over time, you'll become more insulin sensitive. So you're not going to get these huge blood sugar spikes from fruit as you're eating more fiber, as you're eating more plants. So making sure that you're prioritizing that first. Now, what are the things that can actually harm your gut microbiome? It's been found that consuming too much salt can not help your gut microbiome. Fried foods, salt, none of those things are going to be good for your gut. And they're going to produce or basically feed your bad gut microbes. And we don't want to do that. Too much sodium from these processed foods, it's not a good thing. But what's fascinating is when you're consuming more plants, a lot of plants contain what's called potassium, like potatoes have a ton of potassium, bananas do. And potassium actually pulls pulls sodium from your bloodstream and puts it in your urine. So potassium pulls sodium from your bloodstream and puts it in your urine. And that helps to reduce your blood pressure. That helps to reduce the amount of sodium that you're consuming. And it decreases that inflammation and decreases the species that basically aren't helpful when it comes to your gut health. Another thing when it comes to strengthening your gut microbiome is cutting back on saturated fats, especially in highly processed foods. So saturated fats contribute to a less diverse gut microbiome and it decreases the gut barrier functionality. So we really do want to avoid these saturated fats. It contributes to chronic inflammation by allowing lipopolysaccharides to cross the gut barrier. And while we do need some saturated fat, you just need a lot less than what most of us are consuming. And so we want to focus on replacing saturated fat with monounsaturated or polyunsaturated fats and oils instead. Where are most saturated fats found? Well, number one is going to be things like butter, cheese, like these higher fat dairy products is where the saturated fat is in. So butter, creams, cheese. The other thing is beef. There's been a lot of studies that have shown that red and processed meats are one of the worst things that you can be consuming for your gut microbiome. These processed meats are terrible. They increase your risk of colon cancer. And same with red meat. And we're not sure if it's because of the saturated fat in red meat or is it because of the heme iron? Because excess heme iron can also affect your gut microbiome. Heme iron is only found in animals and it's typically well absorbed in the body, which can be good if you're low in iron. However, too much heme iron can irritate your gut. It can increase inflammation and increase your risk of colon cancer. And so keeping red meat to one small portion a week, if that, is so important when it comes to making sure you're not over consuming on something that's not good for your gut in general. And so eating more non-heme iron sources are beneficial, like beans and tofu and tempeh, and just mixing up your protein sources. Let's get a variety of protein. Let's add in, you don't have to be completely vegan or plant-based, but why to try tofu and to get the benefits from tofu, to get the benefits from tempeh. Tempeh is a fermented foods. And if we're talking about the health of your gut microbiome, we need to be talking about fermented foods. Fermented foods are so good for your gut. They're so good for your gut. So what are fermented foods and where can you find them? Fermented foods are going to be things like tempeh. They're going to be sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, even sourdough bread can be beneficial. So adding more of these fermented foods, it's like your gut microbiome has a party when that happens. They absolutely love fermented foods and even yogurt. And that's why I am mostly completely plant-based, but we do add in Greek yogurt in our house because I know that non-fat Greek yogurt has the benefits of these fermented foods, and getting that will really help to strengthen everyone's gut microbiome in our home. And it's higher in protein, which can be beneficial. Now, when we're eating a diversity of plants, when we're eating in every season thereof, or the variety that we can use in our day, that means you're eating fermented foods, you're eating fruits, you're eating greens every day, whole grains, omega-3 seeds like chia, hemp, and flax seeds. You're eating aromatics. Aromatics are going to be onions and garlic. You're eating legumes, which are like black beans, navy beans, pinto beans, lentils, chickpeas. You're eating mushrooms. Mushrooms are so good. Even just one button mushroom a day can decrease your risk of breast cancer. One small button mushroom a day. That fungi has so many benefits too. And it can be anything from these white button mushrooms to portobellos to oyster mushrooms. And you can also eat mushrooms in powdered form. If you don't like the taste or texture of mushrooms, you can add in powdered mushroom powder to your hot cocoa or things like that. You want to be consuming sea vegetables if possible. So sea vegetables are like seaweed, kelp, nori. Those things can help with your iodine intake and they have their own special benefits. But if there was one type of vegetable that you should add in every single day and make it a priority, that would be consuming cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables are cancer crushers. It's like they build up an army of gut microbes that help fight off cancer. It's one of the best things that you can eat every day. Now, what are cruciferous vegetables? It's going to be broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, bok choy, arugula. And the only side effect to these things is that they can be really hard on your gut in the sense of if you don't have a big, strong gut microbiome, you're not going to be able to consume a lot of cruciferous vegetables because it will cause gas and bloating. They tend to ferment in your gut, and that's the byproduct. Does that mean you shouldn't eat them? Heck no. If your body can't handle broccoli, should you avoid broccoli? No way. That's a cancer crusher. You want to crush cancer. You want a variety of it. But the key is not too much broccoli. We don't want to overconsume broccoli. In fact, I have a lot of friends that have had a lot of painful side effects from overdoing it on broccoli. So be careful. We don't want to go to the gym and lift like 200 pounds of weight right away, right? We need to build up our strength for that. And the same thing with cruciferous vegetables. So how do you build up your gut microbiome to be able to handle these? Well, you need to build up your army. And so we first start by adding a little bit of these foods at first, just a little bit. So you want to add just a little bit of broccoli. If your body can't handle broccoli, I bet you can handle one broccoli tree. So add one broccoli tree every single day to your diet, and then give it 2 broccoli trees, and then maybe 3 broccoli trees. And over time, you're going to be able to handle more. A lot of people do this in smoothies. So they add a different variety, just the tiniest amount. Sometimes basically what you can do is go to the grocery store, pick out all of the types of plants that you've never even tried before. Like, I don't know, parsnips or any type of plants that you've literally never tried, and then put them in your blender and blend it all up into some gross paste thing, and then put it in ice cube trays, then put it in your freezer. And then when you're making a smoothie, just pull out 1 ice cube tray of all of the variety of plants you never eat, and then put it in your smoothie. You're not going to be able to taste it, especially if you add all of the other things that make your smoothie taste good, like whether it's protein powder or yogurts or even juices, so that you can actually handle the taste of it. And you're getting the benefits of eating a diversity of plants without having to choke down foods that you've never tried and never want to try. So that's a really good thing that you can do. And you can do for your kids. You can do to add that variety of plants to what they're consuming if they'll eat smoothies in the first place. I have a daughter that won't eat a smoothie for the life of her. Just doing the best that you can, that's going to be helpful. And if your body can't handle beans, it's the same process. If you can't handle beans, add the tiniest amount of beans first, and then slowly over time, your gut microbiome is going to be able to handle more. Okay. The takeaways from this is that there is a reason that in the scriptures, God has ordained the use of plants. He said in Genesis 1:29, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you, it shall be for meat. It's one of the best things that you can consume. It's one of the best things for your body, for your gut microbiome, to reduce your risk of dying early from any cause. Again, I want to just encourage you to just increase your fiber by 10 grams more than you're consuming now. 10 grams more. That small change can reduce your risk of dying early from all causes by 10%. What a tiny little thing for a huge bang for your buck. And again, that was shown in a meta-analysis of over 1 million, almost 1 million people. That's huge. This science is solid. You cannot just pull out one random study that's, oh, this person lived forever and he didn't eat any fibers. I'm sorry. There's too much on the science of your gut microbiome and fiber to deny it. You can't deny the benefits of eating more fiber. And it's not just so that you can have better poops or bigger stools. It's so you can reduce your risk of these leading causes of death. And I go back to, it is promised in the word of wisdom when we're doing these things, again, in verse 18 of Doctrine Covenants 89, and all saints remember to keep and do these sayings, walking in obedience to the commandments, shall receive health in their navel and marrow to their bones, and shall find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge, yea, even hidden treasures, and shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint. And I, the Lord, give unto them a promise that the destroying angel shall pass by them as the children of Israel and not slay them. One of the best things you can do so that the destroying angel shall pass by you is eat more plants. Again, just 10 grams of fiber more than you're consuming right now can reduce your risk of dying from all causes by 10%. It's worth it. It's worth adding in more plants. It's worth starting with a salad, maybe. It's worth adding a little bit more beans to what you're consuming now. Remember, just eating your fruits and vegetables, you still might not be hitting that number. For women, the RDA for fiber is 25 grams of fiber a day. For men, it's 35 grams of fiber a day. Okay, most women are getting around 15 grams of fiber. Most men around that, maybe 20, maybe even 25, but we're all not getting enough. 95% of us are not getting enough. Now, can you eat too much fiber? And the answer is yes, you definitely can. And if you do, you'll see the side effects of it by gas and bloating. That's just what your body is saying is too much. But there's no upper limit. If your body can handle it, there's no negative side effects of eating too much fiber. You just have to listen to your body. I prefer to not overdo it. My body will tell me when I ate something or too much of something. And so listening to your body is key. Just know that you're figuring it out. So be patient, especially when you're adding in more plants. Go low and slow. The lower and slower, a low amount or a slow amount of time, right? So not going too fast. So the takeaways today are that your bowel movements mean something and they are talking to you. They're telling you if something needs to be addressed. So if you're not having nice snake-like bowel movements that are somewhat watery and that aren't difficult to push out, then you might need to be addressing something. Every 10 grams of fiber increase leads to a 10% reduction in mortality. Only plants contain fiber, and that's exactly what your gut needs to be happy, and therefore for you to be happier because of the gut-brain connection. You want your bacteria to produce as many short-chain fatty acids as possible, so feed them a diverse diet from plants. Plants are going to be these prebiotics. They found that prebiotics are way more important than probiotics because you can consume probiotics with the diversity of gut microbes, but if you're not feeding them the prebiotics, they're going to die off. You could be eating all of these probiotics, but it doesn't matter if you're not giving them the prebiotics, which is the fiber. We need to feed these healthy gut microbes what they love. The brain-gut axis is real, and so don't disregard the link between your mental health and your gut issues. And again, these prebiotics and probiotics can be helpful, but prioritizing whole foods are even better. So you can get benefits from a supplement, but the best type of benefits come from the whole plant foods. But do whatever your body can handle. If your body cannot handle a lot of plants yet, then let's start with supplements until you're in a better place. But overall, your goal should be to eventually be consuming a variety of 30 different plants every single week so that you can have a healthy gut microbiome. So that you're eating different types of fruits and vegetables when they come in the season thereof. That you could be eating pumpkin in the fall and strawberries in the summer and enjoy all of the variety of plants that this world has to offer. Overall, if you were to look at what the Paleolithic individuals ate compared to what we're eating when it comes to fiber, they were consuming around 100 grams of fiber a day. They were eating a lot of tubers, a lot of potatoes, a lot of other things that you dig up that actually help keep you full and satiated, along with obviously killing animals. But if we are serious about feeding our gut microbiome, we need to be eating more than the measly 15 grams of fiber that we're eating now and getting at least to the RDA of 25 for women and 35 for men. All right, that's it for today. I love the gut and could talk about it all day long, and I'm sure there'll be more about it in future episodes. But if you have any questions, if you need more help and support, feel free to check out my YouTube channel where I show a variety of delicious recipes that you can use, right, to add more plants to your diet, to get ideas of how you can mix it up. And of course, if you need more help and support, I have a membership where I help people transition to eating more plants because of the benefits that are found and that are taught in the Word of Wisdom. But even if you don't believe the Word of Wisdom, you can still get the benefits from living it. So make sure that you check that out as well. All right, I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Eat Meat Sparingly, a Word of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Ali Essig. And if you need more help and support with transitioning to eating more plants so you can lose weight and feel better, improve your gut health, and just reduce your risk of chronic disease, then make sure to check out my Plant-Wise membership. That's PLANTWHYS, because I like to teach the why behind eating more plants. But if all you need is just a couple more delicious recipes that feed your family and everyone loves, and not to mention super simple and easy, then make sure to check out my YouTube channel, which is also Plant-Wise, PLANTWHYS. Hope to see you there.